Hey everyone, welcome to Advisory. Happy Wednesday. I hope you're all doing well. Today's video is going to cover an academic skill that you all said that you had a lot of trouble with in the form that I sent out a few weeks ago, and that is studying for tests. Since we're here in the end of the 9-week grading period, there's probably already been plenty of tests and maybe a couple more on the way before the grading period ends. There are also going to be many more tests to take in your individual classes and the standardized tests like the STAR test, the SAT, the ACT, the PSAT. And so I thought we would go over a few tips on how to properly study and prepare for tests. The first thing you have to do is obviously to understand the test by getting as much information about the test as you can as early as you can. First and foremost, it's obviously important to know when the test is and put it on your calendar or planner so that you know well enough ahead of time how much time you have between now and the actual test. As much as you can, you want to find out what exact information will be on the test. Is it over one unit? Is it just a quiz over the last week or two worth of information? Is it a STAR test where it tests your skills in the entire subject? What is the information that is going to be on the test? You also want to know what the format of the test will be. Maybe it's multiple choice, maybe you're going to have to write an essay or a short answer, maybe it's a mixture of both. Ask your teacher what the format of the test might be. You want to know whether or not the test will be timed or not. You also want to try to think like your teacher or whoever else made the test. What have they indicated throughout the unit or throughout the semester that is most important to know? It might seem obvious, but the second thing is to pay attention in class. Know that anything that happens in class is probably fair game to be on the test. Don't skip class. Be physically and mentally present in the class so that you don't miss a single thing. Concentrate as much as you can on lectures, discussions, readings, any of the information that's being given to you in the class. Take notes during class, even if your teacher doesn't explicitly ask you to take notes. Take notes, especially over things that may be confusing to you. We'll have another video soon on different ways that you can take notes. Ask questions. Don't be afraid to ask questions as they come to you and write down their answers in your notepad. If you don't get your question answered right away, you may forget to ask it later, and it may be on the test and you'll be confused. Take the initiative to ask when your teacher is offering tutoring and go to those tutoring sessions for extra help on difficult concepts. Third, it's a good idea to make your own study materials to make the material make sense to you. To create your materials, you want to look over past assignments to see what potential questions or concepts might be tested. You may want to rewrite your notes to sharpen your knowledge and include things that you may have missed the first time around when you were taking notes. After you review that material, you can turn it into something like flashcards or a practice quiz to make it easier to review. When you're creating your materials, it's a good idea to break the larger chunks of information down into smaller details. You want to take in this information like a well-cooked steak. When you eat a steak, you're not going to be able to eat it all in one bite. You have to take small bites at a time. Our brain can only process so much information at a time, and so it's important to break it down into those smaller chunks to make it make sense to you. Number 4 is to manage your time well. Don't wait until the last minute, the night before or the class before, to actually study the material. Instead, you want to keep track of how many days you have until the test, which will be where a calendar or a planner comes in handy. Make sure you study a little bit every day rather than a lot all at once. Again, it's like a steak. You take little bites at a time to avoid being overwhelmed. When you are studying, cut out the distractions like phone, friends, other things like that during short, focused study sessions. Nobody said that you have to sit there for hours on end to study for a test. Instead, use short, focused study times with plenty of breaks in between. And again, don't wait until the very last minute to study for a test. You're not going to do yourself any favors, you're going to stress yourself out, and you may miss a lot that you could have otherwise done well on. And finally, you want to make sure that you are preparing for the test day itself. You want to take care of yourself so that you are in tip-top shape to take the test. That looks like getting plenty of sleep the night before. I cannot emphasize this enough. I know that oftentimes we don't prioritize our sleep, but especially before tests, you want to give your brain time to recharge, which is what sleep does. So try to get as much sleep as possible the night before big tests. In the morning of a test, drink plenty of water and have a small breakfast, maybe high in proteins to get your brain going. Give yourself the morning of or the class before to have a little quick review over the most important concepts that you had the most trouble with studying And then trust the preparation that you've already done. If you have taken the time to study in small chunks throughout the week or month leading up to the test, you won't feel pressured to cram all the information in at the last minute. Finally, and probably most importantly, remember that it's just a test. If you totally bomb, it's not the end of the world, and it doesn't mean that you're a bad student. Review how you did, see what you missed, take steps to correct the grade if your teacher allows that, and then master the material that you had trouble with. Sometimes you have a bad day, and that bad day happens to be on the day that you have to take a test. Just know that one test does not define your worth as a student, how smart or not smart you are. If you totally bomb a test, talk to the teacher about what you can do to correct the grade and master the material, especially because if you don't master the material on this test, you may not understand even more on the next test. So it's important not to just see the test as the end of your knowledge, but as a springboard to building more knowledge. That's all for me for today. Take these tips and talk about them with your advisory class in the discussion on the next slide. Thank you so much for watching, and be good to yourself and others. We'll see you soon.